Love podcasts, hate nonsense. It's the PoliticsJOE podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Dudes only.
Amen.
Amen. Ava's gone.
Just like the priesthood in the good old days.
Catholic priests are still old guys.
Just like, well, they're doing it right. Do a lot of things right in the Catholic Church.
They've never made a mistake.
Never. Great pastoral care in the Catholic Church.
Safeguarding. Phenomenal.
Take safeguarding very seriously in the Catholic Church.
And we'd like to state our opposition to the Boston Globe's Spotlight team. It's on site, guys.
Persona non grata in this studio. Mark Ruffalo.
If I ever see Mark Ruffalo and your gang, it's fucking finished. Stanley Tucci, you fucking grass.
Or indeed the real people those characters are based on.
No, just the actors.
Just the actors.
They brought the greater prominence outside the Boston area.
Yes. The professions as well, back in the day, in the good old days. Most things, actually, in the good old days.
Most things are better.
Yeah, they were better, yeah.
Yeah. When women weren't so chirpy.
Oh, no. God. Well, we can just kick back and relax now.
Absolutely.
Guy stuff, like the Tory manifesto.
We can kick back and relax and not worry about anything for the rest of the election. Because, guys, Sunak's got this sewn up. He's absolutely knocked this out the park.
It's a done deal. 500-seat majority. Any other leader.
They're making more seats.
They are. They're all in Surrey. I think they might still lose there. We'll find out, actually. Ava's there. That's where Ava is.
Right? Should we ask her now?
Oh, we can call her up. I don't think she's there yet.
No, she's on the train.
She's on the train.
She's on the train. Oh, I'm excited to find out.
Can't bloody wait. Dispatch from the home counties. That's an interesting point, though, and where your joke comes from, right? There is a sense of like unreality to the Tory campaign because it's like a pretend manifesto. I know I said it to you on the desk yesterday, and you laughed, so I tweeted it, but no one really interacted with it. But imagine if they actually have to do the things that they're promising.
Yeah,
like if he does have to start conscripting people into the armed forces, like it would be insane.
Abolishing national insurance for the self-employed.
Yeah, so what? What are you doing? Or they'll be like, the Tory MPs will be like, you promised 30 hours of free childcare to every child over 9 months old, which, by the way, pretty good policy for my money. But nonetheless, that's substantive.
And you're not going to raise any taxes to do it.
No, in fact, you're going to cut £17 billion worth of taxes.
And give free money to the self-employed.
Don't worry, guys. He understands spreadsheets. What could go wrong?
He's a technocratic nerd. That's what everyone knows.
Fucking hell. He's so bad at politics. He doesn't get... okay. They could have done nothing. Whatever he said yesterday, it doesn't reverse where they are. It's just done. It's over. It's done. The only way that they can have any form of resurgence, I think, is war or like Labour Party implosion, which doesn't appear to be happening. I in fact, actually, I think even like a Diane Abbott type moment, really interesting, actually, I think, is that the way that those moments get amplified and have significance depending on the narrative of the election. So it was 2019, wasn't it? The police officers with Diane Abbott, might have been 2017. And it becomes fucking massive. Absolutely massive. Front pages. There's been multiple instances now where Labour ministers have had similar sort of figures-based fuck-ups. And in fact, there have been Tory ones as well, but the Labour ones are barely making a splash because it doesn't fit into the...
Also, but even the Tory ones aren't making a splash.
No.
Was it the... I don't know his official title, but it's the Minister for Children?
Oh, not knowing how much child benefit is.
Yeah, which is... What the fuck are you talking about? That's your job, and you don't know that.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, well, that's just another in the litany of disasters for the Conservative Party.
Yeah, because that was then the D-Day stuff happened, like immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just got drowned out.
Small change.
But
small fry.
It's interesting in that sense that it's sort of the wider character and tone of the campaign that dictates the significance of those moments. But people, it's unsalvageable for them. And it doesn't matter what Rishi Sunak announces, and we're going to go through some of the pledges over the course of the podcast. But for example, like the childcare thing, it's a big idea. Won't make a drop. The ripples will not pass to the sides of the pool. But I think it's over for them. This
colours every single policy announcement they have, in that the answer to everything they say is, why are you just doing this now? Why have you taken 14 years? Even like the kind of like mad culture war stuff about like trying to stop trans people being protected category under the Equalities Act. Even like vicious TERFs who back that, who would kill a child to do that. Like, they're like, why have you not done this before? Why have you let the scourge of trans people run rampant for 14 years? Like, no one trusts them to do it.
Yeah. And how are you going to pay for it? Well, we reckon there's about 6 billion in savings in tax evasion. So okay, why haven't you stopped the tax evasion? Why are you waiting for 14 years to stop the tax evasion now? Where else are you going to? We're going to make efficiency savings in the public sector. We're going to cut the number of civil servants. Okay, you've had the power to do that for the last. Why are you only doing it now? It doesn't add up. And also, I think it's a signifier of how bad he is at politics. Like he's not a political animal. I don't think. I think his rise was a product of the sort of Dominic Cummings trying to exert control over the Exchequer, right? When Sajid Javid refuses to let them sack his advisor, he goes. They bring in like this young upstart thinking they'll be able to control him. Cummings goes. All the press conferences, he sort of ends up with this inflated sense of skill and capability. Clearly an incredibly intelligent bloke. He's like a policy guy, right? He is a spreadsheet guy. He's a technocrat. But when it comes to a general election campaign, where it's actually kind of far more about, more so than previously, vibes, message, communication, and he's going, no, we'll keep cutting national insurance. Well, cutting national insurance didn't make a jot of fucking difference to our polling the last 2 times we've done it, Rishi. Why would it make a difference now? No, that's what we'll do. He can't fathom, he can't understand or comprehend what it is, and this is part of their problem, because if you can't identify it, you can't form a strategy to resolve it. He just thinks that by cutting people's taxes, they'll eventually go, well, this is fantastic. He doesn't understand that there's a broader narrative at play here about sort of managed decline, Tory incompetence, and that no matter how much you cut taxes, that's not going to make a difference.
He seems to have a limit to his imagination as well. He's not a blue sky thinking kind of guy. The thing about the manifesto, I think there's no big swings. Like everyone, there is something for everyone, but it's a bit it's a bit like, even the people who want, like the people who are desperate to leave the ECHR, what they don't want to hear, and also like they are barely going to vote for you at this point, because Reform are like, we're going to fucking leave as soon as we fucking get in office. You like, if you want to attract them, don't have this muddled phrase about, we will weigh up the pros and cons of it. Actually, you need to be frothing at the mouth, desperate to get those people on a flight to Rwanda.
Yes.
You need to make it like your burning passion, because I think no one buys it. There just isn't enough for anybody there.
This is the thing with Rwanda, and the pledge in the manifesto is to have sent Rwanda seekers to Rwanda by July. And it's kind of like, well, you could have just waited until then before you called the election, pal. Like, oh no, it will definitely happen as soon as you re-elect us.
Yep.
No. People see through that, and you're right, that mealy-mouthed line. We will always put, the line in the manifesto is like, we'll always, if we're forced to choose between our security and the jurisdiction of a foreign court, including the ECHR, we will always choose our security, which is kind of it's not a we will leave, is it? Which is what a lot of them want. A lot of the Tory right want.
I also wonder if it's too intangible, because how many people know about the ECHR's influence?
Well, it's been a big talking point. If you've been connected to politics and caring about the immigration discussion, it has, it's been there, hasn't it, in right wing political discourse for the last year.
But I think we've talked about this before. People are savvy enough to distinguish immigration from the ECHR and Rwanda. people care about immigration. They understand that leaving the ACHR might mean you can deport people to Rwanda, but it's not the hundreds of thousands of legal migrants coming.
Yeah, true. And that legal migration is totally within the gift of the government. Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what I did think, which is with the abolishing the sort of the main rate of self-employed national insurance by the end of the Parliament, which is sort of 6p, and then take another 2p off employee national insurance by April 2027, and simultaneously the 30 hours a week of free childcare for eligible parents with children from 9 months old. I do think, and maybe this is just because I'm reading a book by Dan Evans at the moment called A Nation of Shopkeepers, where he talks about this. I'm going to sound like ridiculously sort of academic and possibly Marxist about this, but he's talking about the petty bourgeoisie, right? And how the sort of the class, the liminal class even between working class and professional managerial, who are kind of two strands, the new and the old. The new being the sort of downwardly social mobile academic graduates who are educated but ending up living back at home, working with their parents. And then the old being the kind of self-employed, tradey, pays in cash, lives in a new build, has a wife, has a nice car and Dino, basically. Yeah. And those two policies, for me, are like laser focused at that group of people. The free childcare and the self-employed national insurance cut, because it's a tax cut for people who are self-employed, who are increasingly individualistic, flashy, not much of a sense of collectivism, in an increasingly stratified, atomized society, Barrett Britain. Those two policies appeal to those people. And I think actually that the right in Britain has a much better understanding, and that's the thesis of that book as well, I'm not just passing it off as my own, has a much better understanding of that group of people in British society than particularly progressives in Britain, but also to a certain extent the sort of previous iterations of the Labour Party. And I'm conscious, Labour manifesto is out tomorrow, so we should probably keep our powder a little bit dry on them before we start talking about it. And the Greens are today as well, aren't they?
How would the Labour Party show that they understand Dino? Because interesting, isn't it? Because I think that assessment of Dino class suggests that only the right have an approach to them. I wonder what a left-wing approach to getting Dino inside is.
Yeah. I haven't finished the book, so I don't know. I'm reading it at the moment. I think maternity is a big thing. I think if we talk a lot about radical hospital building programs and 40 new hospitals, yes, no. I think if you just expand capacity so that you can guarantee that any, for example, woman on a labour ward will always be in her own room, regardless of whether she's in a birthing centre, on the labour ward, wherever she is. I think that is the sort of policy that has the potential to radically make a difference. I think tax cuts, yes, kind of, but it's more, I think, about the cost of living. It's about getting grasp of the economy, and this is what the Labour Party will tell you, is that without having that stable economy and a growing economy, the sort of the credit pinch, if you like, that is being exerted across British society by increasing inflation and increasing interest rates, particularly for private consumer credit, things that are bought on tick, not everything because it depends on the nature of the contract, but the price of some things that way that British society has kind of functioned and provided that level standard of living to people via the mechanism of finance, right? Whether it's ranges from sort of sofas and iPhones through all the way up to sort of very big expensive TVs, houses and cars. Although some of those products, the interest on them doesn't change, just to be absolutely clear. And if you can address that cost of living, then I think it gives you a very solid basis for an electoral coalition. The question, of course, is whether or not if your economic programme is going to adhere, and they may fudge / small print their way out of this, but if you're going to adhere to the Tory fiscal rules, to have debt falling as a percentage of GDP by the end of a parliament, you're very, very limited in what you can do. You're shutting off all your tools. If you're only going to borrow for capital investment, and by the way, if you combine that debt falling with a stated intention to not raise income tax, VAT, or national insurance, you're very rapidly running out of levers that you can pull to sort of change it anyway, apart from their planning reforms, which are possibly very, very significant.
I think an approach to them might be sort of just radical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because people talk about these estates just not having, it's just the houses. There's not like a sense of community.
Yeah.
If you install a doctor's surgery, dentists, proper roads, public transport, and make people care about these new towns, maybe like East Kilbride or something, better than East Kilbride. Everywhere's better than East Kilbride.
Is there anywhere in Scotland you do like?
Glasgow. There's such a thing as like a West Coast superiority complex.
Oh yeah,
and I've got it in spades. my girlfriend's family. My girlfriend grew up like 10 minutes away from me, and because her dad is from Aberdeen and her mum is from Dumfries, she's not really Glaswegian to me.
Nice.
And yeah,
I like that.
It's kind of racist, I think.
Yo, it's not like anyone from Glasgow to be sectarian about something, is it?
No, I've got that too. Okay. That's why I had that conversation about Catholicism at the beginning. I've been teaching you a few things.
Do you know what disabled people need to do?
Buck up their ideas and go to fucking work.
Get a fucking job.
Absolutely.
Amen.
They've been scrounging off the state for too fucking long.
Yeah, I'm glad Rishi's going to do something about that. Glad he's going to do something about that. Get disabled people back to work, bro.
Oh, I've got chronic pain.
Terrible. What, can't walk? Get a job in Mackey's, mate. Stand up. Stand up and be counted.
Do you care about this country or not? Do you care about Rishi Sunak's electoral prospects?
Work for Rishi.
It just seems like, have we learned nothing over the last 14 years to suggest that we need to be more robust about assessing disabled people's ability to work when assessments to work are some of the most humiliating and debasing things that people can go through.
As you would well know, anyone who is interested in this, you can watch the documentary that Ed and I made about this, Deaths of Despair, on YouTube. Ed, while we were up in Scotland, you interviewed a chap about this, didn't you?
Yeah, a man called Brian. He lived in Paul's Park in Glasgow. He had an accident at work. He was a nurse. And he had an accident at work.
Fell over.
Fell on concrete. And he's permanently disabled. And he just talks about how humiliating it was to have to go to these work assessments.
He said he genuinely dreaded the letter coming through the letterbox that would invite him and sort of be ensconced in this feeling of sort of anxiety and fear about having to go to the meeting, because they ask you things like, can you wash yourself? When you go to the toilet, like, do you need assistance? How far can you walk? Which, I don't think, at the end of the day, we are assessing people's capacity for work, and there is always going to be an element of the deeply personal and private in those conversations. But this idea that, there are kind of savings to be made by forcing these people back into the workplace. A lot of them would love to be able to work. Like it's just that they're physically incapable of doing a lot of the work that's available to them. Okay, I'm not suggesting that a nurse should go and work in McDonald's, right? But Brian walked with a stick. The idea that, for example, he could stand behind a till for 10 hours a day, it's clearly not feasible, is it? And the kind of inhumanity of the system, I don't think the answer is kind of becoming more punitive and forcing people back to work. If anything, I'd say it's the opposite. That if you fostered a greater degree of understanding and you allowed the system to be characterized by compassion, you might possibly find that you'd be able to source a kind of middle ground, suitable work for these people and get them into maybe not the kind of jobs that you're picturing, but certainly maybe some form of, and it depends, because obviously everyone's got different levels and kinds of disability, different work for different people, different drinks for different needs. But I don't think that just we've got to get these people back to work. It's not the right approach, is it?
The framing of it as well as these people are cheating the state.
Yes.
And we need to crack down on that, versus you could frame it as we want to empower people. we want to make sure like we understand people like work. If that's what actually Brian said in the thing, he said when you meet someone they ask what you do, and people identify as their job and what they can value to what they bring to like society in quotation marks. And it could be talked about, and it's an empowerment thing. But instead of just being like we're somehow going to make the benefit system more punitive, and it also just suggests that these people, like hardly any of these people on disability benefits, they're implying that none of them have them by any have them correctly.
Yeah, I interviewed Armando Iannucci yesterday, creator of, well, many things: The Thick of It, Veep, Death of Stalin. Could probably keep going, couldn't we? He's done a lot of stuff, and we spoke about the kind of resurgence in the stigmatization and demonization of people on benefits as scroungers, and that the sort of trend or cycle, if you like, between economic hardship and pointing the blame and the finger at people who aren't necessarily the most powerful in society, and also in the context of child poverty as well. So why don't we have a little listen, Ed? Why don't we have a little listen to a clip from that interview? Roll the clip.
The problem in the UK or in government at the moment is there is never any incentive to think long term. The 2-child cap on benefits that exist at the moment would cost something like, I think it's something like 1.8 billion a year to get rid of it. But it would lift 1.1 million children out of poverty, 800,000 out of deep poverty, another 300,000 out of poverty. And you still think, but that's 1.8 billion. Where do we get the 1.8 billion? The Rwanda scheme has already cost 500 million. If it carries on, if Rishi Sunak, the whole planes and whatever, it was estimated to go up to about 2.5 billion. Yep. His national service thing is something like 2 billion. The money is there. It just needs the will to change the priorities. If someone in charge at the Treasury would say, actually, shall we get rid of child poverty? It could happen. In the same way that during the pandemic, they said we need to get everyone who's sleeping rough off the streets, and it happened. There's that. But what people don't also factor in is what it saves to the economy, taking people out of poverty and putting them back into work and actually takes pressure off
public
schools, public services, sadly the prison system, social, everything. And that's a long-term benefit. But it's just harder to calculate what that is. But that's because it's incalculable. I mean, it's immense. And the other thing I keep banging on about is that, because the other thing the government looks at is benefit fraud. About benefit fraud. And real campaigns against benefit fraud. Business fraud is 10 times higher than benefit fraud. But we haven't had, vans going around with posters saying, if you see a businessman who's really, screwing the system, ring this number. Do you know what I mean? We don't have that.
No.
Why not?
But it goes in the city, they'd be inundated with phone calls.
Economically, it makes more sense.
You listen very attentively.
Well, that was dog shit, I have to say. I disagree.
Very good.
For the listener, I didn't hear that clip. I don't know what we're talking about.
No, we don't need to talk about it now. I'm just
No, I
segueing
just want them to know. I want a degree of honesty.
Okay, intellectual honesty on the podcast, always important.
Absolutely.
Rapid fire through a couple of the other ones. A £30,000 bonus for teachers in priority areas and STEM subjects over 5 years. We've talked about the 30 hours of free childcare for children from 9 months. 92,000 more nurses and 28,000 more doctors in the NHS by the end of the next Parliament. Questions there raised by Laura yesterday about whether that's actually a particularly impressive number when you consider the amount of doctors that graduate every year into the NHS. And housing, abolishing stamp duty for homes up to £425,000 for first-time buyers, and 1.6 million new homes by the end of the next Parliament, which would work out as roughly 320,000 homes a year.
It's just a slightly bigger number than Labour.
Yes, and slightly less than Lib Dems, 280,000.
Do they have an agreement of this is how unambitious we're going to be?
Yeah. I think the key thing here, And actually, it's across both the Labour and Tory manifestos, and from sort of ideologically disparate think tanks as the sort of right-wing IFS and the left-wing Resolution Foundation, is that they are all saying that none of the political parties are being honest about the need for either tax rises or spending cuts if they're going to adhere to those fiscal rules that we spoke about earlier. And that is the IFS's response to the Tory party manifesto. I'm sure it will be their response also to the Labour Party manifesto, that essentially both at present, and again, we are still waiting for the Labour Party manifesto to be released, are kind of indulging in fantasy economics, that they're just saying, here is £17 billion of tax cuts. Where's the money for that going to come from? Efficiency savings. Don't look at them.
They exist, pal.
But they're there.
We know. We've been in government for 14 years.
Yeah.
We've had 14 long years to find them.
Let me tell you, this could be a whole lot more efficient. By stopping you from voting. Yeah.
I also like the idea of of getting rid of civil servants.
Yes.
As a, do you want things to be, how things are bad? Do you want things to run worse? Because civil servants are like prison officers.
Yeah.
Civil servants are people who work in job centres. They say civil servants because I think people then think of middle managers in Whitehall who are in charge of, diversity, inclusion, or something like that. And then, fuck them, we don't need them. But civil servants is a massive catch-all term for...
Do you know what's better than a woke blob?
An unwoke stick.
Small woke blob.
Small woke blob.
Make it smaller.
Absolutely.
I think that's the logic. I think that's the logic of it. Anything else you wanted to talk about in the Tory manifesto? Anything you're particularly impressed by?
I was impressed.
Net zero by 2050. There you go. Something for everyone.
Absolutely. When I'll be 54 and I can live in, a shack alone.
Off-grid.
Off-grid. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be off-grid as well.
I hope to be off-grid before 2050.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever go full off-grid.
I think you'd like to, but
It's too much faff.
I don't know. I think if you were single, then you'd enjoy it. You've kind of...
No, I think you've got the relationship the wrong way around. I think if I was off-grid, I would become single.
Dear, my shack is built. Abandon your successful career and come live with me in the woods.
You keep shining your photovoltaic solar panels. I can't do this anymore. Why are you always constantly fixing the wind turbine? No.
I think it'd also have to be... You'd quite like it to be your realm. In terms of
I'd like a realm full stop.
No, absolutely. I'm sure you would, but I
Who
think,
among us doesn't want a realm?
I'm not sure you would be particularly good at sharing the responsibility of the decision making for the shack.
Right.
I think you'd bristle.
Well, it would be the Kingdom of Doug, wouldn't it? It would be the People's Republic of Dugmore.
Yes.
There's no democracy there.
Yes, including...
The People's Republic thing is a misnomer.
It's branding, if anything. Yeah. We must negotiate with Dugmore.
It's external facing branding.
They're all happy.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't be like that.
What would it be?
A dictatorship. The iron fist in the velvet glove.
Yes, but I was waving there.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, that's how you wave though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you didn't have so much tying you down to modern life, you'd be in the woods.
Yeah. I think that's the thing about Ted Kaczynski. He's just misunderstood.
I don't think that's the only thing about him, to be fair.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing wrong with it. He had some good ideas.
Do you think if the Tories put out the Unabomber's manifesto as their manifesto, we'd notice?
I think we probably would.
Would it shift the polls?
What is it?
To my point earlier.
Anti-technology screed. It's certainly ambitious.
To my point earlier, yeah, it's radical. To my point earlier about there's nothing they could do, like this is set in stone. If they were like, no, we need to start a bombing campaign against the post office. I mean, people would pay attention, wouldn't they?
Have you read Say Nothing?
No. No.
By Patrick Radden Keefe.
No.
it's a really good book about the IRA, and the IRA had a fundraising trip to visit Irish Americans in Boston, and the Irish Americans were like, you need to start shooting any person who works for the state, not just soldiers, police, anyone. And the IRA guys are like postmen. And the Irish Americans are like, yes. And they're like, okay, we'll start shooting postmen. Thanks for all the money.
Agents of the British state, the posties.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's good stuff. we anti-postman?
No.
Okay.
No, up the posties. Up the posties. Pay the posties as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pay them well. I think that might be us, Edward.
Nothing else?
Well, there's always something else, isn't there? But
Yeah, we should need to find it.
fasten onto the thread of it. Yeah. What else could there be? It's not really been very dudes rock so far, has it?
It's been quite serious.
What did you think of the England teams?
Oh, the fucking outfits.
Yeah, Boohoo Man.
Putting a proper dance, sing the national anthem.
Yeah.
It looks awful. I really
It was
like,
bad. It's like the boohooification, isn't it, of the country? It's bad.
I think it's just quite...
Wear a fucking
It's
suit.
actually, do you know what it is? It's actually just very Southgate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Southgate's like soft boy approach to brand management. Like, oh, we're all friends.
Well, because I actually think I previously would have said to you that Southgate's aesthetics were more sort of GQ than Love Island. Like it's kind like he's kind of.
Oh no!
You don't think so?
He's not sexy. He's not. I think it's kind of always been
Let's find out.
like
We're not the target audience. Like we have to be clear about that. He's not trying to make us think that he's sexy. We need to go through the opinion polls.
Disagree. I think
You think Gareth Southgate is trying to make you fancy him?
No, I think
A young Scottish man.
there's a difference between finding someone attractive and thinking they're sexy, like objectively. Someone he doesn't have the aura of someone like Mourinho, or someone like
Gareth Southgate was voted the UK's fourth sexiest man.
yes, and people are morons. Who's 1, 2, 3?
Oh. Most recently, it's Clarkson. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy Clarkson beat Tom Holland.
So it goes Clarkson, Holland.
Prince William.
What the fuck? Is this 2002?
No, 2024. It goes Clarkson, Holland, Prince William, Gareth Southgate, Cillian Murphy. Idris Elba.
Okay, so people.
It starts getting sensible at number 5.
This list is written by blind people. But I think Southgate's aura-less brand has bled into the... Why weren't they all wearing the same outfit? That's why I didn't get either. Why are they all wearing different outfits?
Black and tan.
Oh, so they're commemorating the Proud Boys.
Well,
the proud efforts of the Black and Tans.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just odd. And then you see...
I think you should wear a suit.
You see the Italian team in their like
Fucking sexy.
beautifully turned out suits.
Sexy.
Yeah, good. And that's why they won Euros and you didn't. Sorry.
Did you guys wear suits that year?
Well,
Probably.
I was almost definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And we also...
How did you get on?
We won the same amount of trophies.
I'm sorry, that is the strongest copium. that is just pure. That is just pure Scottish, like hanging on. Sorry, because you lost the final, we are on an even keel. Is that what that's your argument? After getting to the final of the tournament, because neither of us won the trophy, we are the same.
Yeah, successful. I think that's absolutely true. I think it's a fair enough assessment of 2021 as a footballing year for the England national team and Scottish national team. Big zero. Big duck egg for both. You said right. Sean's saying I'm right.
You didn't even fucking qualify.
He knows a thing or two about not winning trophies too.
An equally successful year.
Exactly.
Are you not embarrassed right now?
No, I'm absolutely not embarrassed. I stand by that.
Right. I'm just going to leave the audience to make up.
They're gonna be on my side.
I assure you. I assure you right
you
now.
guys won one trophy 60 years ago.
Right.
And that's
So, I mean, in the grand scope of it, we are infinitely superior to you.
not infinite.
Well, how many have you won?
Or 0. You've run
So
1.
one is infinitely more than 0,
It's not
isn't
infinite.
it?
You keep saying infinite.
Yeah.
There's a finite amount. One is a
by orders
number.
of magnitude, how many times from 0 to 1? You can't get there. 0 is 0. It's nothing. Zilch. A vacuum. 1 is infinitely larger than 0.
It's not infinitely.
Yes,
larger.
it is. What do you times 0 by to get to 1?
You can't. You add.
1 more than you have. So, I mean, by either metric, you still have less. By your own bizarre, loser-brained logic, you are still infinitely inferior.
I think loser-brained logic is writing a play about a man who's won.
Did you go and see that?
I did not go to see the play.
It wasn't great.
Did you see it?
Yeah,
It looked dreadful.
it wasn't great.
But like, this is how Southgate's changed England. What?
It was basically how it was like football by metropolitan elites. Like, and I didn't want to have that opinion of it, but it was like what you think, like the theatre types.
Yeah.
If you were to imagine how they would try to depict football, it was exactly like that.
Like, this is all the football you pros enjoy with the drinking
Yeah,
and the singing, bad. This good.
yeah.
Someone doing a handstand on stage.
It was very much like, what, are you going to let a fucking woman in the dressing room? Like, there's genuinely like characters like that. It's like,
it's just the Ted Lasso effect.
yeah. Gareth Southgate kind of like stroking his chin, being like, yeah, well, actually, I do think she's got some good ideas. It's embarrassing. You'll lose to Germany,
Yes.
but it will still be a successful campaign because you win the same amount of trophies as England.
Unless we win. Because we could win at this point.
You could.
Absolutely.
You won't.
Neither will you.
We could.
So could we.
But you won't.
Neither will you.
I'm glad Hardest Geezer's running there.
Thank God. I was worried he didn't have anything to do. What was it someone said about him?
The only place he should be running to is the fucking job centre.
It's hard as geezer and up now.
I think he's always been an op, to be honest with you. Also, like, come on. I get it's 300 odd miles away, but it's not the Sahara, is it? It's succulent European tarmac.
It is very funny that because what he's doing is just like still harder than like something most people could ever do.
Yeah.
It's because it's not as hard as what he did, which is infinitely harder than something.
Oh, you're
most
getting it
people
now.
do. You're a fucking moron. People are like, oh, well, put your finger up, mate.
Yeah.
Run there and back.
I think
Do it on one leg.
it's pretty much just a gambit from him to get free tickets to the games, isn't it?
You know, it's sponsored by like Sports Direct.
Oh, it's SponCon.
That's SponCon.
Are we giving that? Fuck. Well, they've had our pants down now, haven't they?
Absolutely. What would you do for Sports Direct?
A lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm cheap as well.
Run to Germany.
Yeah, I'm cheap. Sorry for talking smack about Hardest Geezer Sports Direct. If you were interested in sponsoring the podcast, you know where to find us.
We would interview Hardest Geezer.
I'd run to Poland, which is further away than Germany.
Very true.
Think about that. It's a good offer.
And he'd run back also.
And I'd swim the channel as well. I wouldn't do any of this ferry bollocks.
You'd make it the longest triathlon of all time. You could swim the channel, run to Poland, and then cycle back.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a real challenge, Hardest Geezer.
Pull your fucking finger out, pal.
Put your finger out, pal.
Do you not also feel like he should have raised more money? Like, I'm not blaming him, but like for what he did.
How much? Do you know what the
I
final
think it
total
was like £1 million.
Yeah, it's not a lot. I feel like
He ran the length of
I feel
Africa.
like Comic Relief does more.
Well, yeah. I mean, Comic Relief is like 30 plus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
But
not.
it is broadcast on national TV.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I wonder what would have made people donate more.
If he died. No, come on. If he'd have died if he'd have died in like Tunisia, at that point there would be a gold rush.
There was a massive surge in donations as he came in, as he was getting to the finish line.
So even better if he dies just before it.
But I'd say he died when he only had like 200k. See if he raises like 400, 500k more, that's still less than a million total.
No, I think if he died, it would go stratospheric. Like Prince's album sales.
Yeah. What do you think he should do next? If you're hard skis,
go away.
Brad?
Just go away.
Just go away.
Fucking buy a razor, have a shave, and fuck off. I don't know why.
He's really pissed you off for some reason.
Oh, he's pissed you off as well.
Yeah, but
don't be sitting there pretending.
I'm not like acting out.
No, but you say these things when we're not filming. You do say these things about him.
Some sense of. Did you know the thing Tina Fey said about authenticity is expensive?
Yes.
You need to keep that in mind before hard skis, because like hard skis now won't recruit you to be on his podcast.
Yeah, authenticity may be expensive, but it's a good job I'm fucking minted, eh?
That's so true.
I don't know what it is. You know when you just get a vibe off someone? Mm-hmm. Don't like him. I applaud his fundraising efforts.
Who else?
I know it sounded like I was shitting on them.
Who else do you get that vibe from? I'm trying to understand that instinct.
David Williams.
For similar reasons?
No, I can't quantify it.
Okay.
I can't put my finger on it.
You just a dislike of somebody.
When someone's just off.
I get you. I understand. See what you're saying about when we were talking about Scotland earlier?
Yes.
I wonder if it what it does to a nation's psyche to be like, oh, we're not going to do well at this international tournament. I wonder if that's actually damaging for
Scotland as a whole?
For a polity. Yeah. That's probably why like England go into tournaments thinking we're going to win the whole fucking thing, and that's why we got Brexit.
No. Unfortunately, you've now exposed the fallacy of your own logic, right? Which is by your reckoning, because Scotland never win a trophy, they're like a failure. But in actual fact, the fact that you've qualified and are participating in the tournaments and fighting out like bore draws with England, and that's like you lot winning the lottery. But that clearly has like positive consequences for people. They feel happy, but because by your own logic, they are a terrible football team, along with every other single football team that fails to win the Euros. You're now having to explain or justify that like it's deeply harming the Scottish national psyche, which it clearly isn't.
Oh no, I've been fallacious. Oh no, I will ever recover. I've been strawmanned.
No, you haven't been strawmanned. This is your own logic.
I think it's two separate points. One was in jest to wind you up, which succeeded, fucking hell. And then the other was an observation about if your attitude about Scotland is that a 0-0 draw with England is the best result we could possibly hope for, what does that say about your estimation of Scotland on a world stage? It probably shouldn't matter because it's football, but it does matter if you think the idea of a nation is important. Which I think it is.
Do you know who I'd be interested to talk to about that? Stephen Flynn.
I think we say Stephen Clark.
No. Stephen Flynn. Tartan Army, home and away, you know?
Yeah.
Apart from now. Because
is he not going anymore?
I think he said he's going to maybe one.
Swinney's going.
Is he?
Yeah. For the opening game.
Does he get like a dignitary's ticket?
Yeah, he'll be there with Schultz on
Or do you think
Friday.
Sunak will go?
No, I don't think he will.
Oh, if you're the Tory advisor.
Oh, what's this guy? Yeah. Oh, man. No. This is it. Who are your games against? Denmark, Slovenia, Slovakia.
Serbia. Yeah. And then Slovenia or Slovakia, one of those.
So he goes, and I'm going to get rocked off of Serbia. And Sunak's there. That is another jinx for the campaign.
Oh my God, if he's there and we lose the games.
Yeah. Just send David Cameron.
But equally, if he...
just send
He
him,
just
like-
keeps sending David Cameron to things. It's like his kid's birthday party. I can't go. Send David Cameron.
He didn't. I don't think he went to the Championship playoff final when Southampton went up. He went to the semis, but he didn't go to the...
Yeah, I think that's true.
And also as well, I think like people being like, what the fuck, are you not taking this seriously?
But equally, if he doesn't go, this is catch-22 for them, isn't it?
Yeah, what the fuck do they do?
I think he has to go.
I think you send someone else. Because it could be like, no, this is what you do. You send someone else and you do something like, I'm here in this
Pub.
food bank.
Oh,
Like, do something. I've given up my time.
I'm
something I
not
really want
watching
to
the
do.
football.
Yeah. Or actually, no, your pub thing's better. Just do it wherever you're campaigning. Just nip into the sports bar with some real...
And
real,
get fucking like bottled.
real...
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like the England. Okay, you're in the pub.
yeah.
Let's just say it's Scotland, Germany.
Yeah.
Because he is technically also your prime minister. And, you know, certainly not you and none of your mates, but let's just say for the sake of argument, a fair few people in the pub may be on some Class A drugs. And Rishi Sunak walks in.
And she Adams misses a sitter. Yeah. It would have to be quite a controlled environment. Maybe actually she should go in North Allerton.
Yeah,
think-
like a village pub.
Yeah, just like...
Yeah.
It can't be rowdy.
Yeah. What's the fucking one in Brixton? Duke of
Edinburgh.
It fucking goes off in there.
Yeah.
Goes off in there in a big way. Out the back in the summer.
That's a massive garden.
It's class.
Yeah, it's really good.
When it's like a heaving tumult of people. Yeah. I love football.
How far do England get, do you think,
We'll lose to France.
in that semis?
I think it depends on the permutations, yeah. But we will lose to them. I also actually, this kind of has early mid-noughties vibes of like lost to Portugal on penalties. I could feel that as well. I don't know. Losing to Iceland, it's all feeling a bit Roy Hodgson. And it's kind of mad when you look at like the
On
quality
paper,
of the attacking team. It's insanely good, but you just know that you feel, I don't say no, but you feel like we're just going to go in with a super defensive setup. Like Jude Bellingham will get crammed in at like right back or something.
He's in goal.
Yeah, they'll put Jude Bellingham in goal. We'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know. Yeah, look, we won't win it, and therefore we'll be a team of equal standing as Scotland.
Thank you for recognising that. It's
Yeah.
very brave of you.
Yeah. Right.
That seems about... They got enough to
Yeah.
talk. We found something.
We did. We got there. Green Manifesto in the next episode. Labour Manifesto the one after. It's Manifesto week.
With Manifesto season, pal.
Hot Manifesto summer.
Absolutely. Manifesto.
Manifesto.
There was a funny line in Chris Mason's write-up of the Tory manifesto. And it was like... just a really obvious observation. It was like, manifestos are the spine of what a government will do. I think you might be writing down to your audience, Chris. Like, if you're clicking for that analysis, you do know what a manifesto is, I think.
Why don't you tell him? Tweet him.
He listens.
Oh, yeah, naturally. Well, he'll know now.
Yeah,
He only listens to the Dudes Rock episode.
absolutely. He hates it. That's not true.
Cool. Thanks
Nice
very
one.
much for listening to the Politics Joe podcast. We will see you on the next one.